Hello and welcome to Film Foundations. I am one of your hosts from Someone's Favorite Productions, Ryan Verrill.
And I am your other host from the Culture Cast and Weirding Way Media, Chris Dashu.
We are here to introduce you to Film Foundations, which is something that we've been working on for many months already, and we are eager to share it with the world because we both love films. And what we're going to be doing on the show is introducing a different side of film through a variety of categories in every episode, whether that be a director, an actor, a microgenre, or a franchise. And we're going to be answering 4 questions about that given category for that day. We're going to go into details on that pretty soon, but in the meantime, we really wanted to introduce you to ourselves. So Chris, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Oh my God, do I have to do this? Well, I'm 33 years old. No, I'm just kidding. Why am I qualified to be on this show with you is probably the question that you're wanting me to answer in a roundabout way. So I've spent the last... most of my adult life and most of my child and teenage life being obsessed with and or watching a lot of movies. If you're able to see Ryan's background because you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that he has a bunch of movies, physical media behind him. And if you were able to see me, you would see that I have a bunch of movie posters behind me. My physical media are in binders in my basement. Because I stopped buying physical media around the time Blu-rays started coming out. So I have a lot of DVDs, but not a lot of Blu-rays. But I, similarly to Ryan, have spent, like I said, most of my life in love with cinema in its various forms and formats, be it either in theaters or on physical media or on streaming and everything in between. And like you mentioned, I've been doing a podcast now for almost a decade. It's 10 years this year of working on and producing and editing the Culture Cast, which is a weekly movie podcast, sometimes twice a week, where we talk about movies and go off on cinematic tangents. So that's why I'm here, and that's what we're probably going to spend a lot of this time doing, is going on cinematic tangents. This podcast, for me, why I'm here is because I do like talking about specific movies, but I also really appreciate talking broadly about the subject of film and why it's important to culture and why it's important to us as a society, because in a lot of ways, film is and has replaced literature and other forms of media as our modern mythology, as something that like everybody knows for the most part. I mean, for everybody who's read the Bible, think about how many people have seen the MCU movies now. Like, and that's like a modern mythology that is similar in a way, like, or Lord of the Rings, or pick anything that has a rich, diverse backstory that is as well crafted, or in some cases even more so than something like the Bible. And my point is, people take these things that seriously now, and I'm not saying that we're beholden to any sort of religious fervor around the topics that we're talking about, but at the same time, if you spend as much time thinking and talking and working on the things that we do about film, it does kind of feel like a religion. So I don't know. As someone who has spent a lot of time in the church of cinema, I think it's always fun to bring new converts in to, sit in the weird side of the pews and see the weird things that cinema has to offer. Because for as weird as a Quentin Tarantino movie may seem to you, I can promise you there are things out there that are much stranger, that are much more rewarding, that ask more of you as an audience and give more to you as a viewer. So my question that I just answered, Ryan, I'm going to pose it to you. Why are you here?
I am here for a myriad of reasons to get into some of my qualifications, just like Chris did. I am currently the host over on the Disc Connected. That is a physical media focused YouTube show and podcast. Every week on that show, I go into all of the physical media announcements. I also post a interview with somebody related to the industry, whether it be from a physical media label or whether it be a filmmaker or somebody that has worked in the industry or anything like that, and really, really dive deep into topics that they don't normally cover in other interviews. And I have learned so much from that I really just want to talk about film more. And considering everything around Disconnected is primarily focused on physical media, this is the perfect outlet for film. Beyond that, one thing that I do want to say is I like talking about movies specifically with Chris. I really enjoy the back and forth that we have, and to get into like the church of cinema side that Chris went into, the way I've always looked at movies is that we decorate our homes, our tabernacles, our city official buildings, everything like that with art that we appreciate. And the only way that I can decorate the time in my life and the memories of how I spend my life is with music and movies. And if we are using art to decorate space, I want to use all of the films that I dump into my brain to decorate my time, which nowadays is one of the most valuable things to me. So I appreciate being able to discuss these on a philosophical level and on a level that will allow us to get deep with some of our guests. And speaking of guests, we probably should get into what the show is going to be and what it's going to be like. We're going to be talking about one of 4 categories on every episode. It will be a director of films, it will be an actor, it will be a microgenre, or it will be some sort of franchise. And then when we go into these episodes, we're going to be answering 4 questions. Chris, you want to share those questions?
Yeah, so the first question is, what is the best point of entry for this specific topic? Like you said, franchise, microgenre, actor, or director. Then what is the deep cut? So what is the converse of the first question? So what is the thing that might not be the easiest thing to get into? The third question is, what is this subject's biggest impact on pop culture? Which, given that we've recorded a fair amount of episodes at this point, that answer can go all over the place, which I think for me is what makes the third question so exciting. And then the fourth question is, if someone is a fan of this, what else might they be a fan of? So it's a further reaching question to have our guest or one of us kind of push ourselves to suggest some more things to kind of further that topic. Because as far as I'm concerned, and I know you would agree with me, as a film watcher, as someone who appreciates cinema and film, I don't want to spend every time I watch not being engaged. And frankly, I would like to be challenged by the movies. And so for me, that last question is about what can I do to continue the conversation, to continue the introspection, to continue the watching of films? What direction can I continue to go? So it's more of a, where can we continue to go if we're continuing to want to have this conversation? Maybe not just about this specific topic.
And the interesting thing about the show is that some episodes it will be the two of us. Some episodes it will be a guest. Some episodes the two of us may be experts on the topic at hand. Some episodes one of us might be an expert. Some episodes neither one of us know a damn thing about what we're going to be talking about. And the guest is going to be holding our hands on a cinematic journey. That level of discovery for all of us, including the listener, is what makes it exciting for me. And the whole point of all of these episodes is hopefully to entice you to try something new that you never have. And so there are going to be some episodes, we might talk about a director that you love, and you might listen to the episode and feel actual emotive feelings about the answers that we give. You may be anti what we're saying. You may be passionately agreeing with us. First off, let us know in the comments. We definitely want a community built around these discussions. That's a big thing. But the second thing is those emotions are what makes the show interesting, whether you've seen or been a part of the category that we're talking about or not. Because if it is something that you've never watched or dove into that sort of culture or genre or franchise or whatever, it might be something that will, along the way, make you go, well, damn, I kind of really want to be a part of this and see this. This sounds incredible. So yeah, after this, I'm going to go watch one of these movies. And inspiring you is one of the best things that we can possibly do surrounding this.
Well, and that's the other thing. I think we also want to break down some walls and some barriers that are either real or perceived. I know you and I are both, try to be good stewards of, cinematic knowledge and cinematic appreciation without being, I don't know. This just gatekeeping. I mean, there's a lot of gatekeeping with cinema. And
Yep.
once you talk about specific genres, a genre that you and I love immensely is horror. And the horror genre is full of gatekeepers, like everywhere. And you don't like this? Well, you can't. Your opinion is invalid. Or you've never seen this, so your opinion is invalid.
Right.
I hate that. I know you hate that. It makes me bristle because, again, like the moment you start telling someone that their opinion is invalid because of a specific reason that is subjective, that is a hard conversation to escape from, to get back into a more objective and subjective space. And that's what we're going to try to do here. Our answers aren't right or wrong. We're not trying to be experts. We're just trying to have a conversation. And that's the thing about this show is we don't want anyone to feel like we are the final authority on this. We're just part of the conversation. We're helping lead the conversation, hopefully in a direction that feels less preachy than other podcasts, because that's the other thing. Like you mentioned, we haven't seen every single movie that we're going to talk about. And for some people, being able to say, I don't necessarily know everything about this is a problem.
Right.
To outright admit and that's the thing, like, we've seen it on episodes of my stuff that I've recorded. I'm sure you've seen it on stuff that you've recorded. People apologizing for not having seen certain movies. It's like, why are you apologizing for not having seen, like, that's like, that is like, you can't apologize for not in, like, I'm not going to apologize to someone for not having seen the Mona Lisa. It's the same thing. Like, it just has never been something that motivates me. Yes, I understand in this day and age, it's never been easier to watch cinema than it has been now. But at the same time, like you said, money is great, but time is more important. And time is, there is no monetary value to time, which is why it is the thing that I kind of traffic in now as well, which is giving people my time and not worrying about the monetary aspect of it. So that, I mean, for me, that's kind of why I'm here, is I really hate the way the film discussion has been had for the longest time, because so many people feel like if you're an expert, that means everyone should be listening to you. And if you've only seen a couple movies, your opinion is invalid. I find that to be immensely asinine, and it does nothing but continue to put further barriers to entry up to people getting involved in cinema, even on a base level of just watching.
Well said. So the big thing, like we said with this show, is to try to bring new points of entry for film to a bunch of people that have never dove into the given topic. We will be doing, at first at least, episodes every 2 weeks. If you have feelings on that, if you want it more often, if you want it less often, if you want us to take all of the episodes and take them out behind the barn, let us know in the comments. We definitely want to hear about that. But the big thing is we are open to feedback. If these questions are good or bad, or you want to see them reworded so that guests come in with a different frame of reference or what have you, let us know. We will definitely take a look at that. But I can guarantee we've already got some episodes recorded with just the two of us. We've got some episodes recorded already with guests. We are covering the gamut of all 4 categories with the director, actor, franchise, or microgenre. And one big thing is a lot of people have never heard the term microgenre. So I did kind of want to define that as we discuss this. And so a microgenre is going to be the difference between a subgenre, which is very, it's still very broad. And when you talk about, like, I know horror is an easy go-to, but there's horror films, which is a genre, and then there's slashers, which is a subgenre. But even then, of slashers, you can find a microgenre. There are, home invasion slashers. There are masked killer slashers. There's summer camp slashers. There's all kinds of different ways that you can look at it. And that's where the nuance gets interesting. Because if we just talk about what's the biggest impact of pop culture for slashers, like, yeah, we can talk about Halloween all day, which is, cool. That's exciting. But it's also been talked about on every episode of Everything Ever. But if we talk about what is the biggest impact of, home invasion thrillers, that is where you start going, well, yeah, the Purge has been a really impossible franchise to escape from because it's scary for a lot of people. Or The Strangers is a movie that when it came out, it scared a lot of people into locking their doors. It scared a lot of people into fearing those around them because at any time anything can snap. And those conversations are easier to have on a microgenre level. And so with cinema being such a wide, broad topic, you want to not be able to run out of things to talk about. You want to be able to talk about these more nuanced conversations rather than just the easy go-to everyday pop culture things that you read about and there's conventions dedicated to around every corner. So we just want to be able to do the best thing for all of you.
Well, and that's the other thing. Realistically, we could spend an entire year just doing actors or genre. Right. I mean, we could spend an entire show just doing actors and never once go into a single director. I mean, that's, like you said, we're trying to, we're limiting ourselves, but not really, but we are, but we aren't. I mean, we're putting limiters on ourselves, but the limiters are very far in the distance, because I don't think there would be a realistic world where we would run out of things to talk about on the show. I don't, but I guess maybe in like 10 years, if they stopped making movies today, we might. But that's the thing. I mean, to your point, like, cinema also is ever changing and it's ever present. And as we're recording this episode, there are movies being released today. There are movies going to be released next week and the week after. And that will be the case until we're all long dead. And those movies continue the conversation through the cinematic lens, and then we continue it outside of the movie as we talk about them. But I can't can't sit here and pretend that those movies themselves aren't furthering the conversation or changing the way the conversation's being had. Because some movies come out and they change everything in the cinematic landscape. We haven't really talked about a lot of that yet on the show. We haven't talked, and maybe we never will talk about like the big things, because again, like you said, how many times can people talk about Halloween until they're blue in the face? Right. But at the same time, I mean, I think we will have to at some point give into, let's do an episode on like a big thing. But for the most part, it's not that we're not going to cover the big things, but everybody else does. And we'll cover it, but they won't necessarily be the main focal point.
Well, that and the type of show that we're looking at here is we are including guests. And so what we're going to try to do is give the guests the ability to pick their topics for the most part. So if somebody comes in and wants to do a franchise and say that it's Halloween, I don't necessarily want to jump into that if that's the only idea they have, if they might like some other stuff, because in the off chance, like I would love to have an episode on Halloween with someone that was attached to the Halloween franchise in some way. And with both of our networks and the things that we've been doing on our own for the last couple of years, that's not out of the realm of possibility. We're already looking at things for some of these episodes for people that have been involved in some of these films. And so you're going to get hopefully an inside look on, some of the process behind these, and have the nuance behind those conversations actually come from a very personal place for some of these people. So I'm eager for the future, eager to see these episodes that we get, eager to share guests with all of you. And like I said, comment. We want to hear back from you. We want to hear how you're enjoying the show or not enjoying the show, what you think we could do better, what might be better for you to hear. We will do our best to be transparent and open about everything. So I'm eager to have the launch of the show officially come on May 1st. And anything else you'd like to add there, Chris?
No, I mean, again, to your point, like, rate, and review the show wherever you get it. I'm excited to talk about these topics with you because it feels like a culmination of the last 10 years of what I've been doing, which is amassing a pool of knowledge broader and deeper than just being someone who watches movies. There's a difference between watching movies as an unengaged viewer and someone who sits there and watches the movie and then afterwards goes and reads about the making of or furthers their information about the movie. And my hope is that this podcast opens that door and it allows you to go, well, I want to learn more about why Bonfire of the Vanities is the way that it is, or the backstory behind Chinatown, or things like that, like digging into cinema and going beyond just what you see on the surface level. And look, there's a lot on the surface level to dig through, but once you get down into it, once you get into the foundations of it all, there's even more to talk about. So, I'm super excited. And, we will be keeping an eye on the comments and everything else. So please, let us know how we're doing. Because if you don't think we're doing a very good job, I'd like to hear it.
All right. That means until next time, it is probably time for us to just say, look out for Film Foundations, follow us everywhere on social media, and we will have an online presence in multiple places, including a potential Patreon and website and more places for you to discover us. Eager to share some of our feelings and life with you all, and eager to hear back your feelings and your life as well.
So we'll be seeing you soon on Film Foundations.